Hi everyone, Crimson Pad here and welcome back to another video. This, obviously, as you can tell, is a guide of sorts for Monster Hunter World. Now, this is going to be very basic, but there are going to be a few things in here which are very common sense, but considering this is a very new franchise when it comes to the Xbox especially, it's going to be more for people who are trying to get into it and are kind of discouraged by how much there is, because unlike a lot of other first games, because this isn't the first game, it's been around since 2004, this has a lot going on and a few simple things need to be explained, and it will help you massively just knowing these. And the first thing I'm going to show you, because I know people will ask, is how to turn off your helmet. Simply go into the pause menu and go all the way over to the right onto the options menu. There, on the third nodule down, you'll see it says hidden or hide in cutscenes only. Here you can simply toggle it on and off at your will. There's also things in this menu on the far right hand side like the HUD option and all your various things. Alright, for tip number 2, or I guess overall tips number 2, it will be weapons. The sword and shield is a very good starting weapon for most people because it allows for a very basic defense and attacking maneuvers with nothing overly complicated. I would say if you're the type of person that prefers more agile gameplay, then you can also use the dual blades, but either is really good personally for people, in my opinion, who are starting off the game. Things like the charge blade are just very complicated and just a little bit too much if you are struggling. But also if you are struggling with using any of the melee weapons, you can use what is called a bowgun. Now, the bowguns in general, especially the Garand rifle, are very simple and take a little bit of practice, but nowhere near as much as something like the charged blade. If you are an FPS player, this will come in a way quite naturally. This tip is more about learning the game and how it works personally. For me, as you can see, I'm stuck between a gangbang between two giant beasts. Now, most people here would want to carry on doing DPS after activating that trap. But this is actually an ample opportunity, knowing my situation, that I'm very low health and these two can kill me very quickly. So I take this opportunity, instead of running in and attacking while stunned, to heal up and to sharpen my blade. I didn't need to sharpen my blade, but as I said, this is more just for an example. If you are someone who has picked up the bow, there is a very useful thing called Wyvern bombs, which really allow you to maintain control over the terrain and the fight in general. Using the terrain around you is very useful, but as you can see, I've placed the Wyvern bomb, so what I want to do is reload my gun and get the beast over to me. Now that he's here, when he goes to attack, it explodes, doing 82 damage, which, as you know, is a lot. That is a hell of a lot of damage very quickly. It can also go off multiple times. Using the terrain of the tree and the bomb, I've completely surrounded myself with ways of escape and attack. If you didn't know, you can also set off your own Wyvern bomb by shooting it. As you can see here, this is not a flying creature, well it is, but isn't flying at the minute, but I shoot and it sets off the bomb. If you find yourself struggling with maybe healing or just in general dying quite frequently, you can actually change your equipment in your loadout. By going to your box, going to change equipment, and going down to the third nodule, you'll see that there is a variety of things if you are a certain way through the game. You would have learned how to use these, but it's quite useful to go in and actually watch the preview video to learn how it would have been intended to be used actually in game. Bounties and investigations are very useful, but investigations are quite literally limitless. You get them by doing certain things while out in the wild. Doing them will also grant bonus rewards, and you can do them very quickly. Things like the Slay 20 Vespids, as you can see, I have multiple of, and it's a very fast way of getting money and resources. If you find you're taking a lot of damage or you need to deal more damage, you can actually go to the shop and buy something called a power charm and an armor charm. These can be upgraded, and once upgraded you can then actually go and buy the originals and keep them on you at all times, and they'll stack together nicely to give you an additional massive amount of DPS and defense. Similarly to you, your Palico can be changed. His gear especially is very useful out in the field. like his heal, it can actually be changed over to what I personally like is traps. I think personally you can take more healing items than you can traps into the field, so having your Palico permanently set them throughout a fight really can change the tides of a battle. Mass build items, so don't worry too much about saving things. Use your armor cores, use all of your resources you can to power yourself up, and also build into things like mega potions, because you will find it's better to use that resource than use a bunch of smaller resources and then just die in a fight. And same with the armor, it will all get outmatched later on in the game, so it's better to use it early and get that early power boost. Now, this is a tip because I see a lot of people out there making guides saying always catch the monster. Now, this isn't actually necessarily always a good thing. Yes, it does yield more resources, but as you can see, if you go and check your reward table, there are some things that have a higher drop chance and some things that actually can only be obtained by carving. So sometimes go to your ecologist and check to see what the item you want drop rate is and how you can be obtained, because sometimes it will be better to actually kill the monster than capture it. And for the final tip, just have fun. No, I'm joking. I hate when guys done like that. The final real tip is you'll get these things that are tickets, effectively, or little receipts. Don't sell them. A lot of people have put guides online saying to sell these things. A lot of them, like the ticket that says take it to the smithy, it will be something for later on. I don't want to spoil it, but it's more end game gear for your Palico and yourself. So don't sell them, keep them, and eventually they will actually become useful. So keep them around, and as I said, I don't want to spoil much, but they do come in handy later on. Whew. And that about wrapped things up. I really wanted to make this more because I love this game and I really love the community around it. And it is a shame to have so many people that I personally think would enjoy this game get turned off by A, they didn't buy it because it looks overcomplicated and hard, B, people saying it's Dark Souls but with monsters. It's not. And C, people really punishing themselves by not using their equipment loadout correctly or not powering their armor up in fear of wasting resources. It really is a very beautiful game, such a majestic game. The scenery, monsters, and all-round playstyle is just absolutely fantastic. And it is very westernized in comparison to the other Monster Hunters, but it still has that very Japanese vibe, I guess. You can very much tell it's made for a Japanese audience, or not us. But that way, it's beautiful for people who enjoy that kind of thing, like myself, and it's also good for the kind of people that do just like all-out combat and rewarding combat. That's something I think a lot of games have lost over the years, is rewarding players for putting in the hours, and that is what this game does. And it's very reflective. The armor you get is always very reflective of the gear that or the materials that were used in making it, which is once again something a lot of games have lost over the years. So the moment you see a guy in full armor that looks like a Rathalon, you can tell he killed Rathalons to get that armor. It's very representative and it's very, very rewarding. So I honestly just say everyone, at least in some way, try this game, whether it be for a friend or a demo of some kind. Just do your best to try it and don't let the beginning really, really stab you down. As I said, just make sure you're always leveling, make sure you're using your resources, because it's better to use something than to be dead. But that about wraps things up. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a like or a comment down below. And any tips that you want to give to the audience, or for me personally, if I've got anything wrong, or you think there's something I should know and maybe make me aware of it, then leave it in the comments. That would be absolutely fantastic. And as always, guys, peace out and have a good one.